like the piece of good emotional tape that I ever came across was a story on NPR that I heard one time that I'm going to play you right now. And it was from the Scripps Howard Spelling Bee, which is a big spelling bee in the United States, and it's like I think it's 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds, something like that, and they compete and they spell. And this was they just did it was like a 3-minute little spot on one of the news shows that they did where they joined the spelling bee in the final round. It's between this one kid who just flubbed his word and this other girl, Rebecca Sealfon. We'll pick it up at about right in the middle of the story.
Since Rebecca is the only contestant remaining at the end of round 22, she will now be given the next word on the pronouncer's list, and if she succeeds in correctly spelling this word, she will be declared the champion.
Euonym.
Euonym. Is word you meaning good?
Yes.
Is word Anna meaning name?
Yes.
Euonym! E! U! O! N! Y! M-U-N-M!
That's correct.
Rebecca Sealfon won the Scripps Howard National Spelling Bee yesterday. Along with $5,000 to go toward college tuition, she took home a laptop computer, books, and other prizes. This is NPR's Morning Edition.
All right. So how did that make you feel? So that is, when I think of like sort of emotional tape versus other kinds of tape, that one is sort of running entirely on emotion. You're not listening to that because you want to hear how euonym is spelled. You're listening because there's so much going on in the emotion of, that girl as she's answering that question. And it's so surprising. That's another thing where a lot of times when people, emotional tape is really good, but it also has to be surprising emotion. It's one thing to, like, a lot of times you'll go and you'll be covering, sort of a tragedy and people are crying over the tragedy, and that can be sometimes good tape, I'm not saying, but sometimes it's like, of course, there was a family member was murdered or something, and the person is very upset about it, and that is entirely understandable, but not that interesting necessarily. And so the job is to try to figure out like a way to either incorporate the emotional tape in a way that doesn't feel, and then it just feels gawky, you know what I mean? It just feels like, so emotional tape is good, but like surprisingly emotional tape is much better. But that piece of tape, so when I first came across that, I was teaching a course at Columbia University on radio documentary, and I was looking for examples of emotional tape, and I was like, oh yeah, there was that piece of tape that I heard on NPR that one time. Wasn't that long ago. I'm just going to go get that. And so I went on the NPR website and I started searching for it. And I was going back, and I thought it was just like, a year or two ago. And so I went and I was looking, and I couldn't find it in a couple years. And so I kept looking back further, and finally I went back to the very, and I just went and entered spelling bee into the NPR website. And 2002, 2001, I went all the way back to 97. It was the first year that NPR actually started putting stuff up on their website, and that's where I actually found the story that I was thinking about. So it had lodged in my brain. I thought I'd heard it like a year ago, and it had been like 10 years ago.